Hello, as part of your next session in the MA in Dance Studies that you have enrolled for, we come on to a subject that is of interest to all of you simply because you are postgraduate students and now you are looking at what lies ahead. And this topic on education and vocational opportunities for Kathak artists will be of very practical interest to you, high practical interest to you. From time immemorial, dance has been part of Indian life and its celebrations. You know that, be it weddings or award ceremonies, the event can never be complete without the shaking of a leg. Dancing is such an intrinsic part of Indian culture that in some communities, dance is part of death ceremonies as well. However, there are differences of customs and occasions across India when dance is danced, and the hue and texture of the dance forms which are typical to certain parts of the country and have taken on the unique flavor of that region. Such dances are part of different ceremonies. In fact, often from different parts of India, we may not know when dance is performed traditionally in other parts of India. Two main divisions of dance are classical and folk forms. The folk forms require no formal training, but classical forms do, and so do certain traditional dances. The training regimen in the case of traditional dances is often as demanding as that of classical dance. Now, in this category of traditional dances, I would include Chow dance of Purulia, Mayurbhanj and Saraikela, the Gaudiya Nritta of Bengal, Vilasini Natyam of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, and the dances of the Gotipuas of Odisha, for instance. Although not classical, these forms are based on ancient dance disciplines. When it comes to classical dances, as you well know, there are 8 styles which are seen on stage: Bharatnatyam, Odissi, Kathakali, Kuchipudi, Kathak, Mohiniyattam, Manipuri, and the latest to join this pantheon, Satriya, which hails from Assam, right. Classical dancers need several years of intense training. But we are not talking only about classical dancers. In fact, it's important to recognize that while many of you are dance practitioners and know a lot more dance practitioners, not everyone can dance. The texts supporting dance themselves describe the ideal dancer and identify such a vast array of qualities that the dancer should possess. Amongst the qualities that a dancer should have is the beauty of the body. Naturally, dance is a visual art. This is stated in the Sangeet Ratnakar. The beauty referred to here is not the beauty of a beauty queen or an actress or a model, but beauty here refers to a regularly formed, proportionate body and a pleasant visage. Abhinay Darpana has a shlok that describes the Patra Prana Dasha Smritaha, the 10 essential qualities of a dancer. The dancer, says the Abhinay Darpan, must have javaha or agility, Sthirtvam or steadiness, Rekha or graceful lines, Bhramari or the balance during pirouettes, Drishti or attractive glances, Shramaha or the capacity to work hard, and I am sure you can testify to it, Medha or intelligence, Shraddha or devotion, Vacho or good speech, and Geetam or singing abilities. Additionally, a professional dancer or patra, according to the Abhinay Darpan, must be youthful and slender, beautiful with large eyes, hence you can have the nice drishtis, pleasing in personality, well aware of when to dance and when to stop, such a critical quality when you are on the stage. Such a dancer should be able to follow the flow of the songs and music, dance in time to talam with splendid costumes, and be of a happy disposition because they have to convey the joy of dance, ananda. Even the Natya Shastra states that the Nartaki or female dancers are required to be women who have beautiful limbs, who are conversant with the 64 arts and crafts, the 64 kala. They should be clever, courteous in behavior, free from diseases, always bold, free from indolence, inured to hard work, and capable of practicing for long hours the art, skilled in dance and song, and excel in a sort of glowing brilliance. Now, all of this is a pretty tall order, but you know well as dancers that you have to abide by it. Further, the dancer has to be trained thoroughly over many years. Training in traditional and classical dances can be started from a very early age, usually from the age of 5 or 6. Gurus only wait for the legs to become strong before taking on a student. For if the legs have not formed strongly, then there could possibly be permanent damage to the bones and the body's structures. Normally, when a dancer learns a classical dance, they have to work not just on body condition, but must practice yoga for flexibility, endurance, and stamina. Apart from working on stances, movements, gatis, and charis, mudra, abhinay, music, tal, and literature all has to be woven into the training. Only after years of practice, under the guidance of a good guru, do all these elements coalesce, and finally things start to fall in place. Therefore, when the guru deems it fit, in a case where the dancer is learning under the Guru Shishya Parampara, and in case the training is happening under the university or institutional system, as per the course requirement, the dancer gets to make her formal entry on stage. But to be a professional dancer, programs and bookings need to come, so that the reputation can begin to be built. Initially, the guru may help, but after a while, programs have to begin coming on their own accord, driven by word of mouth and by the reputation the dancer is creating. Some degree of effort has to be made by the dancer too. If the career takes off, then there will be no looking back. But sometimes careers do not take off at all, or the student has learnt dance but doesn't want a career in practice. What are the options available then? We discuss this alternate menu card of career choices with reference to a dancer who has been trained in Kathak. Now, the first choice available is to be a teacher of dance. This is the route most dancers who do not go into performance careers adopt. It is well within the comfort zone and has a steadiness that the uncertainty of a performance career does not permit. Hard work, patience, an organized mentality, and the capacity to deal with young people and their many distractions are some of the challenges that a dance teacher has to accept. A good space to run the school, publicity, ensuring that accompanying musicians will be present are all some of the necessities that the dance teacher has to take care of. But like all journeys, even this journey begins with one single step. It must begin with small beginnings, but contain within that beginning the seed of a grander future. Teaching is also a career that many performing dancers take on, because there does come a time when the human body cannot continue to take on the rigors of daily performance, and there also comes regrettably a time when programs dry up. Teaching then is a safe fallback option. In the years when teaching has to accompany performance, things are sometimes breathlessly rushed and cause great stress. Many dancers deal with such situations by calling in senior students to help out. The joy of seeing yourself giving back to the field and the joy of producing a good next generation dancer cannot be measured. They say it is good fortune to find a good teacher, but equally it is good fortune for a teacher to find a good student. The next option available is choreography. Even if you do not pursue a solo performance career because it may be just too demanding, by temperament you may not be suited to be pushy enough, or your circumstances may not permit it, choreography is a fascinating alternative option. Qualities that are expected out of a choreographer are that they must have a positive energy. They must be aware of options available in the large and varied languages of dance. And they may also be able to see patterns in dance that enhance its impact even before the new patterns come into being. Dance reality shows offer a wonderful example of how a choreographer works. The choreographer does need to know all sorts of dance because he or she has to create new movements from them, either by using them as they are or by being inspired by them and creating a new. This is why choreographers know a vast range of national and international dance traditions. It will not suffice then to just know Kathak alone. Kathak does give grace, a sense of aesthetic movement, and a strong grasp over rhythm. But exclusively Kathak-based options may be few if choreography is the alternative that you want to pursue. Film choreography is a specialty region within the general rubric of choreography that is also a possibility. There, once in a while, you may get a Kathak only requirement, as did Lachu Maharaj and Gauri Shankarji for the film Pakiza, or did Kumudini Lakhya in the film Umrao Jan, or did Birju Maharaj for Devdas or Vishwarupam. But the chances are that you will get the call for Kathak alone, depending whether you are a legendary name in Kathak, because all the aforementioned names were legendary names. There are more chances that despite your training in Kathak, you will be called to choreograph a situational song. Therefore, even if your training has initially been only in Kathak, as a choreographer, you will have to keep yourself abreast with other dance forms, including foreign forms. As a film choreographer, you should also learn the rudiments of camera, lighting and editing, as these elements make a big difference in how your choreography comes through. This all-round understanding of the medium that a film choreographer requires often equips him or her to become a director. And examples of Prabhudeva, Farah Khan and Remo D'Souza, who have been film choreographers and have also directed films now, stand before us as examples. Fashion choreography is another specialty area. Usually fashion choreographers seldom get seen in the limelight. This is one of the invisible jobs at a fashion show. The effort of a fashion choreographer is to get the best out of a fashion show. A fashion choreographer is the one who keeps the models and designer to convey his or her designs to the audience in the best and most impactful way possible. As his or her endeavor plays a vital role, there are certain qualities that the fashion choreographer must possess. So what are these qualities? First and foremost, the fashion choreographer should be engaged with and informed about the different styles of fashion. Next, the fashion choreographer must be aware of how or which walking style best enhances the clothes on display, because keeping the artistic objective of the show, the style of walking would differ. Most fashion choreographers have to make the best out of a sort of neutral style of walking. Fashion choreography is a creative art. Hence, the fashion choreographer should have a strong sense of style, form and colors. They should have a thorough knowledge about all aspects of style, fabrics and garments, so as to be able to expertly select the suitable theme for presenting the assigned designer's clothing line to the audience. Of course, this decision has to be taken in collaboration with the designer. A fashion choreographer has to train the models on the ramp to walk, to strike postures and poses, and to have a particular rhythm and timing to their walk. As music plays a great role in the show, a choreographer should be expected to keep up with a wide range of music so as to be able to select just the right kind of music, keeping the theme in mind. A strong sense of style and fashion would be a necessary additional qualification. A fashion choreographer has to work very long hours just before a show and also work very intensively at that time. Therefore, certain personal qualities of time management, of endurance, patience, stress management, a sociable personality, be willing to travel and being very organized would be of great help in pursuing fashion choreography as a career. A fashion choreographer should be intuitive and should have a general idea of what people would like to see, and that would make a show more successful and aesthetically perfect. For advancing further, you can keep in touch with fashion magazines and blogs so that you're always updated on current trends. An eye for detail, a dynamic mind, and an open-mindedness is a must for becoming a fashion choreographer. There is no formal training available for this, but much benefit can come from assisting an established fashion choreographer and learning on the job. Wedding choreography is another form of choreographic specialization. The wedding planning industry is flourishing to such an extent that it is valued as a $40 billion industry today. Shadi Saga, a startup aimed at resident and NRI market, started by 2 IITians, has attracted venture capital funding earlier this year. This gives an indication of how burgeoning and optimistic is the scene for wedding choreographers. The expectations from wedding choreographers is to train the bride and bridegroom for their dancing sequences and train close family members who may want to do individual or group dancing pieces. The wedding choreographer has to keep a sunny and happy environment all through and be open to adaptations and alterations if the steps are proving to be too difficult for the family members. In short, the wedding choreographer has to do all possible to ensure a fun-filled, memorable experience for the family. And with a few wedding choreographies under your belt, you may just take out for bigger things like being a wedding planner, where the profits are even higher. Another field of career options for a dancer who does not want to pursue performance as a career is the academic field. As a trained dancer, you have an amazing insight into the dance form. Thus, were you to study it academically, say for a PhD, you would be able to bring a rare perception into your writings. Most teachers of dance studies in colleges, in universities overseas and now increasingly in India are dancers who chose the academic path. Some continue to do both, the practice and the theorizing of dance for a while, but the rigors of academia are often such that the practice part eventually suffers. Yet no one can take away the lessons and the experience, and you will always have a deeper understanding of the form for having practiced it. Your own understanding of the art will be marked by a reflective content, and you will not just be a reflective practitioner, but also a reflective teacher. A further benefit of being an academic practitioner of dance is that the data for a certain type of academic research is already within you. And of course, your skills in Abhinay will always help you to be a better teacher. Another alternative career path is to be a dance or arts writer or a dance critic. It is a fact that the arts are a very specialized discipline, and though they were once a very central part of our lives, the detachment of the modern education system has resulted in us moving away from them. The arts demand understanding, familiarity, and a receptive approach. The media can play a very important role in bridging the gap, but regrettably, the space available in the media today has been shrinking. Yet there is a need for qualified writers on the arts and issues around the arts. The space for the arts has to be reclaimed and retained. Someone with an understanding for art, someone such as a trained dancer, will always be better equipped to handle this requirement than someone who is well-meaning but unfamiliar. The shrinking space on the media is not much of a bother today in the age of the World Wide Web, and platforms like FB and blogs are alternate spaces. There are several interesting blogs written by dancers. I would suggest that you go to some of them. Life of a Free Dancer is Barry Carolus' blog. Barry is a freelance ballet dancer, choreographer and teacher who started blogging in 2004. Being a freelancer in an industry where most dancers are in companies is tough work. And Barry is open about sharing his experiences so that all his readers benefit. Do you not wish that there was somebody who could guide you, warn you, and help you negotiate the uncharted seas of the world of dance? Now, Barry is not afraid to take on difficult topics like standing up for yourself when the dancer's code says you should be submissive. Barry also teaches you how to negotiate for better terms. You'll find great insights for dancers and all independent artists in it. Rinse Go Bragh is the blog spot of Sarah Kubik. Sarah is a former gymnast turned Irish dancer. She started dancing at 18 and began competing 3 years later. Since then, she's competed in 2 North American and 2 World Championships. Her blog chronicles her personal journey as a competitor and educates readers with instructional videos and a glossary of Irish dance terms. You too may be able to learn some Irish dancing if you go to this video. Sacred Space blog. This is the blog of Isabella Putinia, who came to India as an expat spouse and then began learning Odissi. This blog is about her experiences in dance, and she packs it with interesting write-ups, photographs and information such that you can go back to it regularly and will always come away with some of the energy with which she has created it. Now, some of the younger Indian dancers are writing blogs. Are you writing a blog, any of you? Now, the problem with blog writers in India are that they are not regular with it. Consequently, the blog scene is not as vibrant as it could be. Writing a blog takes a certain discipline. It's writing of any kind which requires discipline. Blogs have to be updated regularly. So if you were to fix a date for it, say Monday, then people will be drawn to your blog because it will have something new to say every Monday. Otherwise, in the multiple attractions of the internet, your blog will be fast forgotten. The blog actually serves as a record of your thoughts. It is said, and I know it to be true because many of my writer friends have explained this to me, it is said that blogs are scouted by publishers to identify the next big writer. So maybe it is worth making that effort. In any case, the discipline will serve you well when in a few years you would have generated enough material that you could mine for a major publication, or who knows, maybe even a movie. Remember the lovely 2009 film in English, Julie and Julia, which contrasts the life of internationally renowned chef Julia Child in the early years of her culinary career with the life of a young New Yorker, Julie Powell. Julie Powell aspired to cook all 524 recipes that Julia Child had brought out in her cookbook in 365 days. She described this challenge in great details on her popular blog, and that made Julie Powell a published author because she was scouted for. Who knows, next it could be a movie ringing with the sound of ankle bells rather than the sound of patilas and chamchas, the spoon grazing plate. Any one of you could be the next significant blogger who becomes the great author of our times. Another possible career path for you could be arts administration. Increasingly, as arts are getting institutionalized, there is a growing need for arts administrators. Some of the most important arts institutions, even at the national level, are being run by former dancers. The last many secretaries of the Sangeet Natak Academy have all been trained dancers. Whether you talk about Mohan Khokar, who was trained in Bharatanatyam, or Keshav Kothari, who was trained in Kathak, or Jayant Kastuwar, who was also trained in Kathak, and who, incidentally, after leaving the Sangeet Natak Academy, has gone back to dancing and teaching. Even the present incumbent, Helen Acharya, is a trained Bharatanatyam dancer and has also been trained in choreography and folk dances. Yet another option for you could be exploring dance for fitness and well-being. Now, of all the classical dances of India, Kathak ranks very high when it comes to the fitness quotient. It is not only a strenuous physical workout by itself, But since all dancers of Kathak practice wearing very heavy ghungroos on their feet, you know that Kathak dancers wear the maximum number of ghungroos, this makes for weight bearing exercise as well. Plus, since the dance performance tells a story, Kathak dancers spend hours mastering and the coordination between the facial expressions, the hand gestures and leg movements to do justice to the tale. Of course, this holds true for most of the classical dance forms. US based Kathak dance maestro, the late Chitresh Das, had popularized the concept of Kathak yoga, which he described as a union between the mind, body and soul, and an excellent form of cardiovascular exercise. Based on the concept of innovation within tradition, Das explored the boundaries of Kathak technique and performance and came up with Kathak yoga, in which a dancer recites a chosen tala, sings the melody and the teka of the tal while practicing precise complicated footwork. The technique is now being studied for a doctoral dissertation at Harvard University. In India, at a very practical level, Vadodara-based Kathak dancer Jigna Mehta, who runs the Nupur Dance Academy, created a special module for such students who wanted to dance to either stay in shape or get into shape. This module was built to match a similar module created earlier by senior Bharatanatyam dancer Parul Shah, who created special dancing sessions for women who loved dancing but were unable to do so. Parul says that she used all Indian dance forms, including classical and folk, to create a series of movements. The idea was to enjoy the 2 hours in such a way that one can shun inhibitions, flow with the music and feel good. Her efforts bore fruit because a septuagenarian member of her class regained the use of a frozen shoulder. So you see, dance can be used for fitness with a little application of mind and can be the career that you are destined for. Next, I would like to talk to you about dance for healing. Now, healing is an aligning on many levels of the mind, body and soul. It's a sort of integration of the mind, body and soul. At a simplistic level, healing enlivens the mind, body and soul, creating an enhanced meaning in life and helps in managing stress and negativity. The process of healing is a natural outcome of dance. In fact, dance not just creatively transforms, but addresses physical, emotional and spiritual challenges for the practitioner, often being able to address issues and health concerns as serious as cancer. Now, dance has been one of the oldest means of therapy employed in the world. It has been used therapeutically for thousands of years. It has been used as a healing ritual in the influence of fertility, birth, sickness and death since early human history. From the period between 1840 to 1930, a new philosophy of dance developed in Europe and the United States, defined by the idea that movement could have an effect on the mover, that is, the dancer. This recognized that dance was not simply an expressive art, but that dance exercise released positive hormones or endorphins. Although dance has been a method of expression for centuries, it was not until the past half century that it has been formally established as a method of therapy and begun to be followed professionally. As a profession, in the 1950s, it grew in significance, beginning with a lady called Marian Chance, who later went on to form the American Dance Therapy Association. So, dance therapy is used not only in recovery from serious illnesses, as I have mentioned, but it can be used as a general therapy of well-being to promote positive psychosocial behavior in both adults and in children. It works very well even for children with disabilities, as also adults with disabilities. Indian classical art forms are learnt for the inherent purpose of artistic and aesthetic value. The therapeutic benefits are incidentals. They are incidental benefits that come out of the process. The essence is that actually curative powers are present in the body and only need to be stimulated. Dance as therapy stimulates such curative powers and makes the dance therapist feel good about giving back to the community in such a positive manner from the art that the dance therapist practices. I hope you find this an interesting subject. Let me tell you that as you are now in your postgraduate session, the inclusion of this subject makes it a valuable means for you to think of options that lie ahead when you leave the confines of the university. So I wish you well and thank you for paying attention.
Thank you.